Hi everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing my Vivobarefoot Tracker Forest ESC boots. I've had these shoes for about a year and a bit now, so I've got plenty to say about them, good things and bad things, so let's get to it in this video. Okay, so these are the Tracker Forests by Vivobarefoot. The name on the website will be Tracker Forest ESC, and ESC means the Ecological Survival Collection. So these are sort of a part of their range of shoes that are more engineered for outdoors wear. And these ones are called the Tracker Forest because they're specifically designed for forest environments, obviously. So I bought these back in, I think it was about March or April of last year. It's now July this year, so I've had them for just over a year. They were £210, so on the more expensive side in terms of Vivobarefoot shoes. But the first thing I'd say right off the bat is I think they are definitely worth the investment. So if we start off with just the actual structure of the shoe itself, I've got size 14 feet, so these are quite a big pair, but they fit really lovely. And despite how bulky they are and how thick and bulky they look, they're actually quite lightweight, which I like because if I'm, going up a hill or if I need to run or something, these aren't going to get in my way, and they don't tire your feet out either. So the shoe itself is actually made of wild hide leather. I don't know where they get the leather from, but I know that they source it responsibly, ethically, and sustainably. I think it's from somewhere in Europe where there are still some breeds of wild cattle roaming somewhere, I'd imagine. And so Vivobarefoot, they invest in a more expensive material because they know that the quality is going to be more worth it. And these are definitely worth the price you pay for them. I mean, the leather scratches a little bit. I've got some scratches just down here on my boot, but that's because when I'm here working in my woodland, there's a lot of brambles and, blackthorn and things like that. I've worn them for a year, put them through a lot, and there's only a few little surface scratches. I've never torn them, never punctured them. Now, the benefit of the wild hide leather is because it's a natural leather, then not only is it waterproof, so I can walk through lakes and all sorts with these, but if I'm just a few inches deep, I won't feel the water. Unless it gets through the seams here, then you stay completely dry. I've never felt it leak through the seam of the sole there. I've never felt it cold through the leather. It's really lovely and waterproof. The other thing is, where they're obviously wild hide leather, they're both insulating and breathable, so they're perfect year-round. So in the winter, as long as I'm wearing a thicker sock underneath, then my feet will stay nice and warm and dry. In the summer, if I wear something like this, more of a thinner sock, then my feet will still be nice and cool and ventilated because the leather is breathable. So that's a great choice from Vivobarefoot's part to use wild hide leather. Obviously, if you've got any ethical concerns about it, then look on the website to see if there's any more information about where they source their leather from. And for example, if you're a vegan, then these might not be the shoes for you. But I think they're definitely worth it in terms of functionality and quality as well. So the sole is made of, I believe, Michelin rubber. Is that right? Yeah, so right on the bottom there, it says Michelin. I haven't seen any wear so far on the tread on the bottom, but I don't really wear them out on concrete or tarmac very much. Now, Vivobarefoot shoes are actually my main option of shoe. I've been wearing them for over a year and a half, and the first pair that I bought were actually a pair of Magnus Elite. I love them to bits. I've actually just recently got them prepared, but I'll do another review on that because I've got some things to say about that. The reason I got them repaired, was because I've worn them so much outside around just everyday shoes that the soles actually wore down almost completely flat, and I was starting to slip because it was smooth. These have not yet worn down. I don't know if that's on account of the Michelin rubber being such a high quality rubber, or if it's because I'm wearing them in softer outdoors environments like this. where I'm not wearing them down on tarmac pavements, but not all day. So in terms of, their durability, I think they're really good. And I've never punctured them. In my last pair of boots, I actually stood on a nail and it went straight through the boot into my foot. And I obviously had to get a tetanus shot for that because it was a rusty nail. But with these, maybe I've either just been more careful, but these do seem to be more protective. And the good thing about these is even if I am on my feet on a hard surface for a long period of time, because the tread is so thick on these, which provides really great grip. I'll get into that in a second. But because the tread is so thick, it almost provides like a layer of cushioning. So it takes the weight off my feet. Another pair of my Vivos are the Primus Lit, I think, or the Primus Trail Lit, one of those. And they are completely barefoot shoes. And if I'm standing in them for, 6 or more hours, then my feet will definitely start to ache at the end of the day. These, however, perhaps it's on account of the tread being quite a bit thicker that I don't feel so tired at the end of the day in these. Now, in terms of grip, these are absolutely incredible. But they can only do so much. If I'm down in my woodland in the winter, for example, or if I'm out anywhere, perhaps on loose gravel or something when it's been raining, or on any sort of slippery surface, I have slipped a couple of times, but I don't think that's a grip issue. I think that might be a barefoot shoe general issue, because where you don't have the heel to dig your foot into the ground a bit more, you don't have the back of the heel, then you're flat. So if you slip, then it's almost like you're on a ski, if that makes sense. That will be something that you will, if you're new to barefoot shoes, or if you're just getting into them, then that will be something that will get better with time. As your feet adapt and your feet strengthen, you'll be able to grip your toes in more, and your feet will do half the work for you. So like I said, I don't think it's an issue with the grip of the shoe, but I do think it's something to keep in mind with barefoot shoes in general. Now, one of the things that drew me to these shoes in particular was not only because they're a thick, hardy outdoor boot, but because their laces are apparently designed to hold better so that they don't come as undone as much as other shoes supposedly did. And so these laces are designed sort of in a twisted way. And so this ridged texture here, this ridged design, is basically meant to sort of fortify your laces so that when you tie them, the ridges hold into each other like that. They grip. It's meant to create more friction there and stop them from coming undone so much. However, this is something that I think is probably one of the downsides of this shoe. If anything, these laces tend to come undone more so than my other Vivobarefoot shoes, which just have regular laces. Now, whether that's a design fault in the ridge design of the lace, which is meant to do the complete opposite, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm walking in all sorts of different ranges of motion and, dorsiflexion and all sorts of different terrains. Maybe it's just putting the laces undone quicker anyway. I can't say for certain, but it's one thing I've noticed. Whenever I'm wearing these, but whether I'm hiking or I'm working, they actually do tend to come undone quite a bit, which can be quite annoying. The other good design thing about these is they've got this lovely hoop on the back so that when you're putting your shoe on, you can just get your finger in there, pull it up, and really nice and easy. Now, in terms of their aesthetic design, I think these are really lovely boots. I've always been into sort of like cowboyish boots. Don't worry, I didn't go around wearing like cowboy boots before, but I do love a nice brown leather boot. And these are just a really lovely, natural feeling, modern answer to that style of boot. They come quite far up your ankles, which is nice. And obviously wild hide leather is very beautiful. They've got this sort of ridged pattern on the ankles there. They've got this nice black strip. I think it's rubber there, which is where the main metal or brass pin or whatever it is pinned onto the shoe to hold the laces. And then this is the part where you've got the ESC written on there. And then the Vivobarefoot logo is on the back of the shoe as well as on the sole of the shoe in a lovely red color. So overall, in terms of aesthetic, I think they're really, really lovely. Vivobarefoot do quite a few different options of brown leather hiking boots. For example, they've got the original Tracker, they've got the Tracker Deacon, They've even got the, I think it was Magnus leather or something, Magnus Outdoors version. They do black leather, grey leather, brown leather, blue leather, all sorts of. They've got a really nice like beigey tan leather as well. But the Tracker Forest is probably the bulkiest of their outdoors boots. But nevertheless, I think it is a very aesthetically pleasing shoe if you're into sort of that rugged kind of style. I think it's perfect if you're out hiking a lot, or if you're wearing it as a winter shoe. Whatever you're doing, it's a really lovely, versatile shoe, which is what matters most. Now, obviously, whether you're an outdoor shoe, then you're going to be putting them through quite a bit. Like I said, I've put these through a lot, and I haven't cleaned them for a few months, so I think they're in need of a clean now. So when you buy your Tracker Forest from Vivobarefoot, for me, what happened was they came with a free box of Vivobarefoots and Renapure, I think it is, shoe wax. And so this came with the shoe because you're going to be putting it through a lot, and you can see here that the leather is starting to get a bit worn. I haven't cleaned them in a few months. It contains no chemicals and is non-toxic to humans and animals. It says, since 1988, Renapure leather balsam has been used and trusted by millions of people around the world to take the very best care of their leather. Renapure and Vivobarefoot, let nothing stand between you and nature. It has a lovely little message on there. It says, get out there and go further, climb higher, dig deeper, run wilder. It's time to make your escape. So it says plan your ESC. So the ESC range stands for Ecological Survival Collection, but it also is like a shortened version of escape, because, you know, escape out into nature is lovely. What you get in here is you get a little pot of Renapure wax. It's almost like a beeswax kind of solution. They don't need cleaning all the time. If you're someone who wants your boots to stay pristine, then by all means go ahead and clean them as often as you wish. For me, I'm not majorly concerned about cleaning them, and I think that's a testament to how durable they are, that, you know, I'm not too worried about them breaking or wearing out if I don't clean them and look after them too much. But obviously you want to look after them as much as you can so they last you a longer time, so I do treat them as and when I need to. And it also comes with this little application sponge as well. So what you do is I just tend to dab the little corner of the sponge in there, and then get a nice little bit on there like that. And now watch how much this cleans the shoe up when I just wipe it over. You ready? Watch this. In just a few passes, boot is just coming back to life. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have washed these with like a wet cloth first to get the dust and stuff off. But this is the colour the shoe was when I first bought it from online. So you just go over the leather a few times in between the laces onto the tongue of the shoe, and that's just about good enough, I think. And now look at the comparison. And that's with only about a minute of treatment. Just a few wipes over it, you can see night and day. These were definitely in need of a clean. There we go, that's both shoes done now, and they're looking good as new. And they actually kind of cover up the little scratches that I was talking about. You can still kind of see one here. And I mean, obviously, if you're wearing them outdoors, then you're not going to be able to prevent all the inevitable wear and tear that's going to come with wearing boots like these in an outdoor environment. But this little shoe solution here by Vivobarefoot is definitely a lovely little addition. So for me personally, the reason I chose these shoes is because they offer the perfect amount of functionality and versatility, as well as support and protection that I need when I'm working out here in my woodland environment. Whether I'm standing on roots that I don't see, or if I'm climbing up the hill, these are really versatile and functional shoes that allow my feet to do what they do. Now, if you're someone who works in the outdoor industry in whatever capacity, or if you work in forestry or whatever, then you might be more used to wearing something like a steel toe cap boot, which is much heavier and it holds your foot in place. If you're looking to make the transition to a minimalist shoe or a barefoot shoe, then the Tracker Forest is definitely an amazing option. Obviously, they don't have steel toe caps. If I were to drop a big log or something on my toe, this isn't going to provide the protection that a traditional boot would. However, I think the trade-off is definitely worth it, because where this shoe allows my foot to move through a more natural range of motion, I'm less worried about injuring myself when I'm out here. So whereas in a conventional traditional boot, which is rigid and it doesn't really let your ankle do anything, it holds your ankle in place, it might have a steel toe cap, it doesn't let you bend your foot like I can just with my toes in this leather boot. Then if I were to walk over like an adverse outdoors forest terrain where there's roots, hidden logs and branches on the ground, maybe rocks, maybe badger sets or fox burrows, anything like that, in a conventional boot, I would be usually quite anxious about rolling my ankle or twisting my knee or something like that. But where the Vivobarefoot Tracker Forests allow my foot to move through a natural range of motion, I find their flexibility and functionality allow me to have better proprioception and control in an outdoors environment like this. In these, I don't even look where I'm walking because I can trust these boots to allow my feet to do what they need to do. So I think if you're considering making the switch to barefoot shoes, if you're someone who hikes a lot, it's definitely something that you need to consider, because these don't have steel toe caps. But I think they reduce the risk of injury long term because they allow your feet to take control and sense the environment around you better. Okay, so overall closing thoughts about the Vivobarefoot Tracker Forest ESC. I think if you're looking for a versatile and functional hiking boot or work boot or just general outdoor boot, then this is probably one of the better options out there. There are also some different options for some different terrains and environments. For example, one of Vivobarefoot's newer shoes is the Vivobarefoot Tracker Jungle, I think, which is a really cool looking boot. It almost looks like a military boot. It comes a lot higher up your leg and it's like a crocodile green kind of colour. It's really nice, and the laces come all the way up. Obviously that's designed for jungles and tropical environments, so perhaps more breathable than this. But nevertheless, this is still a perfectly good option for all different kinds of terrains. I've worn this through forests, up hills, and I'll be wearing this up a mountain fairly soon. And I wear this every week when I'm here at my woodlands as a work boot. So I think, as I said, if you're someone who works outdoors in some kind of manual labour field, and you're looking to take better care of your foot health, the Vivobarefoot Tracker Forest, great option. Zero drop shoe. It allows your toes to spread so you can regain strength in your toes and in your arch. Obviously, if you have any sort of major foot issues, like if you overpronate at all or if you need arch support or anything like that, I'd recommend going to see either a doctor or a physiopodiatrist or a running specialist. I'm not going to go into running with minimalist shoes because obviously this is an outdoor boot, but running on a soft terrain like soil here, I find it really allows me to just let loose like I'm one with the wild. I feel really free in them, and that's, I think, something to say for a boot that's so thick and hardy and that keeps you so protected, that it also allows you to feel free. So for the price range, £210, obviously on the pricier side of shoes, but are they a worthwhile investment? I definitely think they are. I've had them for about a year and 4 months. As I said, I've worn them every week outdoors through all different kinds of weather. It allows my feet to move. I feel comfortable all day in them, and I think they look really cool as well. So definitely a worthwhile investment if you have that kind of money to spend on a shoe. And if this is the first time that you're being introduced to barefoot shoes, and if you're thinking about making the transition, this is definitely a great first option. Perhaps start with something like an outdoor shoe. Take it hiking, take it on adventures first. Keeps some kind of cushioning and padding for walking on concrete for now. But like I said, if this is your first barefoot option, definitely a great option and absolutely worth the investment. So I'll leave a link to Vivobarefoot store down in the description below. To these shoes in particular. Have a look at them, read the description, have a look at their other options as well, see if there's anything that catches your eye a bit better. But for me, these are definitely a great boot, and I couldn't recommend them anymore. And with that said, thank you everyone so much for watching my review. And if you're new here, then hit subscribe, stay around. We've got some cool videos on the channel all about outdoors, skills, nature, ecology, everything like that. So if you're into that, hit subscribe, and I'd love to see you in future videos. Until next time, thank you for watching The Wellstead. Bye. Bye.